Yeah, in the last class we have discussed segmentation and the paging. In that, how logical address will be interpreted, that we have seen, like sorry. This logical address will be having two things. One is page number, another one is page offset. Page number will occupy n bits, in the sense page offset will occupy n bits, then page number will occupy m minus n. Total we are considering as m bits. Total logical address is m bits. Length is m bits. Like this, we are having m bits. Then out of this n bits we will be using for page offset, and in which page, that is being identified by page number. So this is page number, this is page number and page offset. Like this, we will be having two parts. Okay, how we can decide this one is based upon how many addresses we are having in the logical address. What is the logical address space? Based upon that, how many bits we can decide. Suppose 2 power m addresses are there, then m bits we require. Like you consider 64 KB of logical address space is there. Then how many bits? What will be the value of m? Try to understand. 64 KB is the what you call logical address space. Then what will be the value of m? We have to calculate, like 2 power 6 is nothing but 64. Then KB, in the sense 2 power 10, then bytes. So it will be 2 power 16 total. So 16 will be the what you call 16 bits we will be having in each address. Like that we can interpret. Next, out of this, for each page, let us say the frame size, how we have divided this one is like 16 KB each. 16 KB each. 16, 16, like this we will be having total 64. So 4 frames we are having totally. Now how we can in one particular page, okay, in one particular frame we can store a page. Okay, in one particular page, how many addresses we will be having? 16 KB. So how many bits we require? How we can identify? This is 2 power 4 multiplied by 2 power 10. This is bytes. So now 2 power 14. So how many bits we require? 14 bits we require to identify one particular address in a page. Okay, that is n will be 14. Okay, total is 16. Out of those 14 bits we will use for offset address. Next, page number. How many bits will be remained in page number? For page number, m minus n, that is 16 minus 14. So it will be 2. With 2 bits, how many addresses we can form? With 2 bits, with 2 bits we can form 4 addresses, isn't it? 4 addresses we can identify with 2 bits. So how many frames we are having here? 4 frames. So we could able to identify page number, that is in which page we are having. Okay, in which page. Then in that particular page, what is the access? What is the word that you wanted to access? That we can specify by using 16-bit address. I hope it is clear to you now. 16 bits if you consider as m, out of this 14 bits we are using to identify offset within one particular page. How we can identify that page? By using remaining 2 bits. So total will be 16. So this is page number, this is offset. Okay, that is defined here. This is m minus n, this is n. Yeah. Any doubts? I hope it's clear to you, right? Next, this is the page translation which we have seen earlier. This is the logical address space. From this page number, frame number we will be getting, like 3, 15 will be transferred to 11, 15. 15 is the offset. So frame number we will be getting from this page table. Then we can able to access the corresponding main memory or the physical memory. Yeah, this is the page table here where we are having the corresponding pages. 0th page is in first frame, third page is in seventh page. Like this, we are having page table. Next, this also we have seen like how we can calculate. Suppose we wanted to find out what is the logical address of physical address of K. That means 10 will be given. So in which page we are having, this is 0, 1, 2. So second page where we are having that second page in the sense first frame. So first frame, each frame size is 4. So 1 into 4, and in this particular one 1, 2, 3. So plus 3. So what we will be getting? 4 plus 3, that is 7 will be the physical address. Where we are having 7, there we will be getting this article, physical address of this K. Okay, like this we can identify the physical address. Next, this also we have seen like how we can find out the internal fragmentation. It is just, we will be dividing like if you have 9 KB of process, okay, entire process size is 9 KB, each we will be having main memory with frame size as 3 KB, okay, let us say 3 KB we are having like this. So how many pages we will be dividing? Each page will be having 3 KB, so each page can be loaded into any of these frames. Like this we can load, okay. Now let us assume this is 19 instead of 19. Okay, before considering 19, let's consider 9 only. Then are we having any internal fragmentation here? Internal fragmentation in the sense unusable space within the partition. Here we have partition 1 which is having the 3 KB and 3 KB of data is there. Next 3 KB, 3 KB of data. 3 KB is the page size and 3 KB is used. So there is no unusable space. So there is no internal fragmentation. Internal fragmentation is 0 when we consider 9 KB and each frame size is 3. Let us say we are having instead of 9, we are having 11. Then how many pages we need to have? Frame size is 3 only. So we need to have at least 4 pages, isn't it? At least 4 pages. One will be having 3, another will be having 3, another will be having 3, another will be having, of course 3 totally, but out of those 2 only we can use. This one cannot be utilized. Okay, this is unusable space. This is called internal fragmentation. What is the internal fragmentation of this one is whatever the page size that we have minus how much we have used, that is 2. So this will be the internal fragmentation, which is nothing but the amount of memory which we cannot able to use, that is nothing but internal fragmentation. Here you can understand that by using this example as well. Page size is 2048 bytes, process size is this one. Like page size we have assumed as 3 KB, process size is 9 KB or 11 KB like this. Now, how many pages will be filled fully, that we have to identify. Like we are having page table, out of these 35 pages, okay, first 35 pages will be filled fully, but last page we will not be having 2048 bytes, we are having only 1086 bytes for the last one. So 1086 will be used, remaining memory will be unusable. That is called internal fragmentation. So how we can calculate is page size minus, what is the page size? 2048 minus what is the last page content, 1086 bytes only we are having. So if you subtract, remaining will be unusable, 962 bytes will be internal fragmentation. So one thing you can consider as fragmentation, instead of considering 2048 bytes, let us consider 1 byte for each page. Then what will happen? Page size, page table size will be increased. Why? Because so many pages will be created. For each page we have to maintain one entry in the page table. So page table size will be increased. That is the disadvantage. That's why what we will try to do is we will try to decide the frame size cleverly, so that it will not create overhead of maintaining page table as well as internal fragmentation. Okay, to minimize the internal fragmentation and minimize the overhead of maintaining page table, we will be choosing the frame size. Okay, like this You can understand this we have seen already. Next, this TLB we have seen, translation look aside buffer. What is the use of TLB? Is instead of going to the page table directly for each and every logical address translation to physical address, what we will maintain is intermediate cache kind of thing that we call it as translation look aside buffer. Here we will be having similar structure as page table, but we will be having less number of entries in this TLB. Less space will be there, less number of entries will be there, of course. So now what we will do is whenever we wanted to translate logical address to physical address, just we will check whether that entry, that particular page table entry is present in this TLB or not, we will check. If it is present, that we call it as TLB hit, and we can get directly the frame number, and from this we can access the offset. By appending these two, we will get the physical address. This is straight away we can get. But if required page number is not present in this TLB, suppose it is not present, that we call it as TLB miss. Whenever TLB miss is there, then we have to go to this page table and we have to access this main memory. Okay, that is this frame number we will be getting from this page table. Then again same process, that is appending offset and the frame number in order to get the physical address. Same thing we will do, but instead of searching in the big page table, entire page table, what we will do is we will maintain certain cache memory called translation look aside buffer, TLB, translation look aside buffer. Whenever we have the required page in this TLB, then we can say it as hit. Whenever we don't have, then it is called TLB miss. Suppose TLB miss in the when TLB miss has occurred, then it has to check this. It is not found, then it has to check this one as well. Okay. Now there is an interesting study here. Suppose out of 100 references, like 100 logical addresses, if I give, out of those, let us say 70% we can find here. Okay, this is just an example. 70% we can find in TLB. Remaining 30% will not be available in TLB. Try to understand. Out of 100 accesses, 70% we have found in TLB. Remaining 30% we didn't find in TLB. Then what we have to do is, first for these 70%, first we have to check TLB, isn't it? Then only we will come to know we have to go to page table. Okay, so first we will check this one. If this is not having the required one, then we will go to the page table. Okay, let us assume for TLB, as we are having less number of entries and it is cache memory, the accessing speed will be more, isn't it? Whenever we have less space, then less data, we could able to find out the required one in less time. So in TLB we are having limited space, as we have discussed. Let us assume the requirement to access one particular one is 50 nanoseconds. 50 nanoseconds we require, or 50 milliseconds we require to access this TLB. If there is an entry present in this, we can access within 50 milliseconds. Suppose we wanted to access from main memory, then let us consider it will take 150 milliseconds. From main memory, from page table, if we wanted to access, that is whenever we wanted to access from here, it will take 150 milliseconds to search and find out what is the corresponding frame number. If that is present here itself, then 50 milliseconds are enough. Okay. Now, what is the average access time? Like suppose 100 given to you, then what is the average access time? How we can find out? This is the question. Try to understand. This will be asked in competitive exams like GATE, even some job written test also. These kind of problems you will be getting. Okay, definitely one problem will be there in GATE on this particular topic. See, TLB is nothing but whatever the data that we wanted to access from page table, that we will keep it here. Some part we will keep it here so that we need not search entire memory. That is the intuition here. Now, whenever we wanted to convert this logical address to physical address, offset will be mapped directly to this. But from this page number, what we have to get? Frame number. This frame number we have to get. So how we can get frame number? By searching in this particular one. For searching, it will take 50 milliseconds. Suppose if it is not present in this TLB, what it has to do? It has to go to this and has to search. For searching, it will take 150 milliseconds. From this page table, it will take 150 milliseconds, whereas TLB, it will take 50 milliseconds. Now, what is the average access time? Is like you consider for 70% of the time, we will be getting the required page number in this TLB itself. So 70% times we will be requiring 50 milliseconds. Okay. Next, plus remaining 30%, what we have to do? That is not found in this TLB. So we have to go to this page table. How much time it requires? 150 milliseconds to access. But in order to determine that is not present in this, that's why we are going to page table. We have to search in this as well, isn't it? In this TLB also, we have to search. Then only we can determine that we have to go to page table. So how much time it requires for 30% of the time is this 50 milliseconds we have to spend. Then only we will come to know it is not present. Then we have to go to page table and we have to spend 150 milliseconds in order to obtain the required page. So it will be 50 plus 150. Okay, this will be the actual time. See, 70% in the sense we can consider it as 0.7 multiplied by 50 plus 30% is nothing but 0.3 multiplied by 200. Okay, now what is this? This will be 35 plus this will be 60. So total 95. Okay, this will be the average access time. Try to understand. Usually we are having TLB with access time as 50 milliseconds. Page table which is having the access time as 150 milliseconds. But if you know this percentage, how much percentage we are having, we will be getting TLB hit, how much percentage we will be getting TLB miss, then we will come to know what is the average access time. Okay, this particular percentage we can consider as 70% of the time what we will get TLB hit, that we call it as hit ratio. This is very, very important term. Hit ratio is nothing but how much percentage we could able to get, how much percent of the time we could able to get the required page in the TLB. That is nothing but TLB hit ratio. Okay, TLB hit ratio. If it is 80%, then what will be the TLB miss ratio? TLB miss will be 20%. Isn't it? 70% is 30%, 50%, 50%, 60%, 40%. Like that, total out of 100 accesses, 80% of the time we will be getting TLB hit. Then we can say remaining 20% TLB miss. So based upon that, how we can calculate? 0.8 into 50 plus 0.2 into 200. Then we will be getting the average access time. What is this? This will be 40 plus this is again 40. So we are getting 80. Now from these two, you can observe what is the hit ratio. Earlier we have considered hit ratio was 70%. Then what was the average access time? Average access time was 95. Whenever we consider hit ratio as 80%, then average access time is 80. That means from this average access time, you can observe whenever hit ratio is more, then automatically average access time will also be more. Suppose the hit ratio is 100, that is all the time we will get in TLB only, then definitely the average access time will be, 50 only. Why? Because all the time we will be getting from TLB itself. So it will be 50. Try to understand. Average access time we are calculating by using hit ratio, and what is the TLB access time, what is the page table access time. So TLB access time is 15 millisecond, page table access time is 150 millisecond. Okay. Now this one is having 50 millisecond as access time. This is 150 millisecond. And hit ratio we are assuming as 60%. That means 60% of the time just we need to spend this much time. So 60% of the time in the sense it will be 0.6 multiplied by 50. Next, remaining 40% we have to go to page table. When we can go to page table, first we have to search in this, then only we have to go to page table if it is not found. So 0.4 into 50 plus 150. So it will be 200. So now what we will get? This is 30 plus this will be 80. So total 120 milliseconds will be the what? Average access time. Okay. This is like this whenever we have hit ratio, okay, hit ratio as more, then automatically the average access time will be decreased. If hit ratio is less, average access time will be increased. Like that you can understand this TLB. Yeah, I hope it is clear to you. Any doubts, ma? Yes? Yes, please respond, ma. Yes, please respond, ma. That you can observe with this example. Next, yeah, this is for protection. Like we are having the page table. Here we are having the several entries. Out of these are valid. These are valid frames. Okay, these are valid pages. But these two are invalid. That by using one bit in addition to the frame number, we will be using one bit to indicate whether the page is valid or not. If you specify V, that is valid. If you specify I, that is invalid. That is whatever the frames which are containing the pages, those are nothing but valid pages. What are the pages which are not present in the main memory? Those can be considered as invalid pages. So now you can indicate that by using another bit called valid or invalid bit. It can be either 0 or 1 kind of thing. Okay. Next, shared memory. Like you consider the scenario like we are having one program like addition of two numbers. Okay, a, b, I will take is equal to a plus b. Okay, this I will write. Now this particular program we wanted to execute. Okay, one user wants to execute, second user wants to execute, third user wants to execute. Now into the main memory we have to load this program. So this is main memory. This particular program needs to be present in the main memory for user 1. Let us say this is process 1, this is process 2, this is process 3. Now for process 1 we have to load this program. For process 2 also, that is user 2 also wants to execute the same program, so we have to load. Next process 3 also wants to execute same thing, so we have to load that program. So how many copies of this one we are maintaining? 3 copies. Instead, what is the convention that is allowed is, if the code is same, but user 1 will be giving 2 and 3 as the values of A and B, user 3 will be giving 3 and 5, 5 and 8. Like this, some different values will be provided. That means data is different, but code is same. Then what can be done is, in the main memory, instead of loading 3 copies of it, just 1 copy we will be loading. That is, code we will be loading as 1 copy, and data we will be loading separately. That is, this is for user 1, this is for user 2. Like this, data we will be having separately. That means whatever the main memory we have, here some frames we will be having, right? Main memory will be divided into several frames. So some frames, let us say these frames contains code section. Okay, data we will be having separately. So how we will be having in a page table of process 1, process 2, process 3, for each process we will be having page table, right? So here we will be maintaining two things, that is code, data. Code, data. Next, code, data. So now, where we are having this code at let us say at frame 2, okay, then that we will specify where we are having this code at frame 2. This is also at frame 2, okay, this is the code section. Next, data, this d1 resides here, that means this is 3 4 5, d2 resides at 6, d3 resides at 8. So here we will be having the frame number as 8 here. Next, D2 is at 6, D1 is at 5. So for data section, we are having different frame number, whereas the code section, we are having same frame number. So that we can use what you call we can load that program only one time, but data we will be loading individually. That is the convention we are having, which is supported by paging, and this is called shared pages. Like let us see the example, then you can understand clearly. This is the main memory. Okay, this is the main memory. Here we are having several frames, 0 to 11. So total 12 frames we are having. Out of these, this is code, this is code, this is code. So 3 frames we are having as code. Okay, these 3 frames are common for all the process. So in the process 1 page table, what we are having? 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. These are the 3. Next, in process 2, we are having 3, 4, 6. In process 3, we are having 3, 4, 6. That means code section is common for all the process. But data, coming to the data, here you consider this is the requirement of process 1. Out of this, as this is code which is common for all the process, we have loaded in common frames. Then data 1 is exclusively for this page table, what you call this particular process P1. So where this data 1 resides, it is in first frame that we have indicated. Next, data 2 resides in which frame? 7, that we have indicated independently. So if you observe this page tables of these 3 processes, we are having common code frames that we have like this 3 4 6 3 4 6, but data is different that we have indicated. This is called shared pages. Okay, these pages are being shared by several processes, shared among several processes. Okay, next, this yeah, coming to the page table. Suppose we are for writing something, we are maintaining a book. Let us say we will be maintaining as index. Okay, there are several things which we have in our home. Okay, where we are having that one particular one, we will be maintaining the index. In this particular shelf, we are having this. In second shelf, we are having this. Like this, some index register we are maintaining. Let us say we are having so many entries in this index, so many entries. Then automatically, what we will do? What we feel, first of all, what we feel is searching in this index itself is becoming difficult. Like that we feel. So what we will do? We will segregate like office related things we will be grouping, and we will maintain an index separately. Next, other things like kitchen related things, for that we can maintain. Other property related things we can maintain separately. So that index we will be maintaining here. Like for this one entry, that is office related, means you go to this particular what you call entire almar. Next, suppose education related one, then you go to second almar. Like that you can say like property related one, you go to third almar. Like this we can redirect. So here we are maintaining the page table in 2 levels. In 2 levels, That we call it as hierarchical page table. First we will see here, accordingly we will go to corresponding page table. Understand? Instead of maintaining all together, what we are doing is we are maintaining certain levels, so that we could able to minimize the overhead. That is the basic intuition here. This is one of the implementation of page table, like two level page table scheme. Here you can understand, this is the outer page table, like office means you consider this one. Like this we are having several things. Property means you consider this one. Like this we are having several main index is here. Next, correspondingly we will go to another inner page table, then we can search. Instead of searching entire page table for all the things, we are maintaining another level, so that we can minimize the overhead. This is called hierarchical page table implementation. Okay, in this particular example we have used how many levels? Only 2 levels. Suppose there exist so many entries here, then we will go to this outer page. Suppose in this outer page also so many entries are there, then we can take another level. We can take another level from here, this level to this level we will go, then from this level to this level again we will go. Like this we can maintain the index of the page table at several levels. Okay, that also is there. I will show you. Yeah, here you see there exist 2 levels. 2 levels is nothing but first P1 is used to find out what is the address of this particular page table. Next, after finding this P2, we will get to know from in this particular P2 which one we have to, in this particular page table which one we have to access. That will be indicated by using P2. Next, after getting this, in this particular actual memory where we have to go, that will be indicated by using this offset. Like this we can use several vertical levels. Even 3 levels also exist. I will show you that. Yeah, 3 levels. Here you see P1, from the P1, then P2, then P3, then D. Like this total how many bits we have? Entirely 64 bits we are having. 64 bits for address. Out of those, 12 bits we are using for offset, 10 bits for first level, 10 bits for second level, 32 bits for third level. Like this we are using several levels. So this is nothing but hierarchical page table implementation. Okay, next another implementation of page table is hashed one. That is, I'll show you the example. Yeah, we will apply just hash function. I hope you know what is meant by hashing. In data structures you might have learnt it. Hash function is nothing but mathematical formula or mathematical function. By giving the key as the input, we will be getting the value as the output. Key as the input, then value as the output. That is nothing but hash function functionality. Just we will be having some mathematical formula here. Based upon this key, we will be having mathematical formula. If you substitute there, then we will get value. So that we will come to know this is the entry. Okay, earlier this P itself we have used to index this. Okay, directly for P only we have searched in this page table. Instead, we are maintaining the hash table. Hash table is nothing but we will be having key then value, key value. This kind of vertical entries we will be having key and the value. Now this P will be considered as the key, then it will give some output. Based upon this value, that this key will be verified here. Okay, corresponding value we will get. So in this particular one, what is the page number that we want, that will be maintained, and corresponding address, so that we can get. Suppose P is the required one, so we will go to the next one. If it is not equal to the required one, then we will go to the next one by using this link. Okay, this is just a linked list kind of thing. So we will go to the next one. Here we have matched this P and this P. So what is the address R? So we can append with the offset, then we can get the physical address. So ultimately what is our goal is how much easily we could able to obtain physical address from the logical address. This is the actual objective. For this one we will be using hash function. Just we will apply hash function, then we will come to know this is the entry. In this entry we are having a linked list. Okay, this is a chain. Okay, what this chain will contain is every entry which is hashed to this particular location, that will be maintained in this chain. See, we are having hash table with several entries. Okay, these particular entries are getting this particular value. Like you consider m mod 10, this is the hash function, this is mathematical formula, isn't it? Suppose 12 if I give as the input, what will be the output? What's the mod operation? Mod operation means it will give remainder. So 12 mod 10, what is the result? 12 mod 10, what is the result, ma? Being a computer science graduate, if you cannot say this one, then I don't know how to interpret. 12 mod 10. You are in third year, right? Still you could not able to answer this, means you have to question yourself, ma. 12 mod 10. Is there anyone who can tell 12 mod 10 what is the answer? Yes. Mod operation is used to find out the remainder after division. Like 12, if you give as the value of m, 12 mod 10 means it will divide, 12 with 10, then we will be getting the remainder as 2. This will be the result. So 2 will be the result of 12 mod 10. 5 mod 3, what is the result? 5 mod 3. 3 mod 2, what is the result? Yes, 5 mod 3, what is the result, ma?
2.
2. Next, 3 mod 2?
1.
1. So the remainder we will get. Anyway, I'm happy that at least one response I received. So I wanted to give one input, which is useful to you maybe. Like suppose minus 10 mod 3. What is the answer? Minus 10 mod 3. Is it allowed or not, first of all? In any programming language you can consider. Minus 10 mod 3. These kind of questions you will get it in written test. Minus 10 mod 3, just it will perform division. Minus 10 mod 3, that is 3, then minus 3 times you can consider, right? So it will be minus 9, then we will be getting minus 1. So whenever we get minus 1, that is magnitude of this one is less than the divisor, then we will stop the division process. Here also 10, 12, when we are dividing, this 2 is less than 10, so we are stopping. So minus 10 mod 3, minus 10 mod 3, what we will get? Minus 1. 13 mod minus 2, what we will get? 13 mod minus 2. It will be like minus 6, then we will get 12, then the remainder is 1. So 1 magnitude is less than magnitude of 2, then we will stop. So the result will be 1. Got it? Next you consider simple thing, 2 mod 10. 2 mod 10, what is the answer, ma? 2 mod 10. 2 mod 10 in the sense, suppose if we have 22 mod 10, we could divide and we will say after division, here 2 is less than 10, so we will stop. Initially itself 2 mod 10, 2 is less than 10, so we will stop in the first step itself. So the result will be 2. In short, I can say whenever left side operand is less than right side operand, then we can say this is the result. 1 mod 5, what is the answer? 1 mod 5, 1 only. Minus 1 mod 5, minus 1 only. Understand? 5 mod 7, what is the answer? 5 only. Whenever we have this as the less than this right side operand, then this is the result. Okay, coming to the point here, whenever we use this one as the hash function, 12 if you give, the result is 2. 22 if you give, then also the result is 2. So here you consider 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 is this one. So 44 if I give, what is the result? 44 mod 10, it will be 4. 54 if I give, then also 4 only. So 2 entries we are getting, right? 44 and 54, more than 1 entry. So this is called actually the collision. How we can resolve this collision is by maintaining separate chain. Okay, this is a chain. This is one entry, this is another entry. Like this, we will maintain chain one after the another. 44 we will store here, then 54 here we will store. Whenever we wanted to search for 54, what we will do? We will apply this logic. That is, this formula we will apply. Then we will come to know at 4 we can find this 54. So at 4 we are having this list. So we will start from 44. 44 and 54 we will map. These two are not equal. So we will go to the next one by using this link. Then 54 and 54 we will map. Then it is found. Then corresponding value we will take to get this particular physical address. This is the logic. I hope you understand what I have told. Yes? Yeah. So this is about page table implementation. Actually there exist several implementation. Out of those 2-3 implementations we have seen. One is this hierarchical page table implementation. Second one is hashed page table. Hashed page table means we will use hash function to determine physical address. Okay, this is about paging. In the next class we will be seeing further things. Okay. Thank you, Ma.